Since the end of World War II, the U.S. has regarded the Pacific as a pivotal theater in its global strategy. As former U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis stated, the Pacific Ocean doesn't separate us from Asia, it connects us. In the 21st century, with the rapid rise of China both economically and militarily, the Pacific arena has grown even more complex. As former Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd once mentioned, the Pacific is big enough for all of us. Yet the balance of power in this vast oceanic expanse is delicate. China, with its ambitious Belt and Road Initiative and an increasingly assertive stance in the South China Sea, has become a focal point in the U.S.'s foreign policy recalibration.
The United States also remains ironclad in our commitment to the defense of the Philippines, including the South China Sea.
Enter the Philippines, an archipelago of over 7,000 islands that sits at the crossroads of the Western Pacific and the South China Sea. Historically, the Philippines has shared deep ties with the U.S., from the colonial era to the establishment of the Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951. The archipelago's strategic significance, thus, extends beyond being merely a piece on the geopolitical chessboard. It serves as a testament to how history, geography, and shared values shape international strategies, establishing the Philippines as a linchpin in the evolving U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy.
Yes, indeed. The Philippines only has one treaty ally, that's the United States, and that treaty was reaffirmed in Secretary Lloyd Austin's meetings with his counterpart in the Philippines today. The President of the Philippines will travel to Japan next week, and he's expected to discuss there a proposed bilateral defense agreement between the Philippines and Japan. So the message that's being sent, I think, to China in particular by this is that this is not just a bilateral one-off, but this is a thickening of the linkages between the alliances themselves.
As we delve into the tapestry of the Pacific's geopolitical landscape, it's essential to understand the historical threads that bind the U.S. and the Philippines. The story isn't just strategic, it's also one of shared history, trials, and partnership. In the aftermath of the Spanish-American War, the Philippines transitioned from being a Spanish colony to a U.S. territory in 1898. This colonial relationship laid the foundation for the subsequent deep socio-cultural and political ties. American institutions, educational systems, and even popular culture found a home in the Philippine Islands. World War II further cemented this bond. The brutal Japanese occupation and the iconic Battle of Manila bore witness to shared sacrifices. In the words of General Douglas MacArthur, who played a key role in the Philippines during World War II, "I came through and I shall return." And return he did, signifying not just a military commitment, but an enduring alliance. The post-war era saw the formalization of this alliance with the signing of the Mutual Defense Treaty in 1951. This treaty, a cornerstone of Pacific defense for the U.S., enshrined the commitment of both nations to defend each other in the face of external aggression. However, history is not static, and neither are alliances. The Philippines, under various leaders, has navigated the ebb and flow of international relations. From Marcos's close ties with the U.S. during the Cold War to Duterte's initial overtures towards China in the 21st century, the Philippines has strived to assert its sovereignty while balancing superpower dynamics. In the 21st century, with China emerging as a global powerhouse, Manila found itself recalibrating its stance. Economic incentives, infrastructure investments, and regional dynamics led to a warming of relations between Beijing and Manila. As former Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario observed, "In diplomacy, one does not have permanent friends or permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Geography, as they say, is destiny. And for the Philippines, its geography has forever placed it at the heart of Pacific geopolitics. The South China Sea, often referred to as the throat of global commerce, is where the Philippines commands a unique vantage point. Numerous reports about the South China Sea assert that it sees an annual transit of goods worth $5.3 trillion, with $1.2 trillion of that amount being attributed to trade with the U.S. This underscores the immense strategic significance of the South China Sea, making it an indispensable crossroads for trade for many of the world's largest economies. The waters surrounding the Philippines are not just economic highways, but are also imbued with deep strategic significance. They act as potential choke points, areas of contention, and zones of influence. One cannot underscore the Philippines' significance without discussing the first island chain defense strategy. This strategy, conceived during the Cold War, imagines a series of archipelagos stretching from the Japanese islands through Taiwan down to the Philippines, forming a natural barrier against naval access to the Western Pacific. Within this strategy, the Philippines plays a dual role. On one hand, it acts as a bastion for any defense posture against any potential Pacific adversary. On the other, its proximity to the South China Sea makes it a potential launchpad for any force projection activities. Over the years, this geographical importance has been complemented by military infrastructures, joint exercises, and defense pacts. These strategic undertakings, coupled with its geography, position the Philippines as a fulcrum upon which the scales of Pacific geopolitics teeter. The South China Sea, a seemingly tranquil expanse of blue, belies the intricate tangle of geopolitical aspirations and contentions beneath its waves. At the heart of these waters lie a mosaic of contested islands, reefs, and shoals. Countries including China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan lay claim to varying extents driven by nationalistic fervor, strategic considerations, and the allure of potential underwater resources. These overlapping claims have led to a precarious dance of military patrols, infrastructure development, and diplomatic skirmishes. The stakes are high, and the potential for conflict looms large. In the face of growing tensions, the Philippines, in a landmark move, took its territorial grievance against China to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in 2013. The heart of this complaint was China's expansive 9-line claim, which Manila argued was inconsistent with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. 2016 witnessed a significant juncture in this dispute. The court ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, invalidating China's 9-line and upholding Manila's rights to its exclusive economic zone. This was a significant diplomatic victory for the Philippines and a moment that resonated across the globe. President Rodrigo Duterte, in his UN speech, affirmed the significance of this ruling, stating, "The award is now part of international law, beyond compromise and beyond the reach of passing governments to dilute, diminish, or abandon. We firmly reject attempts to undermine it." China, however, did not take lightly to the ruling. Beijing vehemently rejected the court's decision, doubling down on its activities within the South China Sea, fortifying its positions and conducting large-scale naval exercises. The Philippines, while buoyed by its legal victory, had to navigate a complex geopolitical landscape. Balancing national interest with regional stability, Manila's stance has seen shifts. President Rodrigo Duterte, for instance, initially adopted a more conciliatory approach towards Beijing, emphasizing dialogue and economic cooperation, even as territorial tensions simmered. China's carrot-and-stick approach, oscillating between offering economic incentives and flexing its military muscles, further complicated Manila's strategic calculus. As Professor Richard Haydarian, a Philippine geopolitical analyst, pointed out, for the Philippines, it's about balancing sovereignty and survival in the face of increasing great power competition. This involves not only asserting their territorial rights, but also maintaining good relations with major powers.
关于美在菲新增使用军事基地，中方已多次表达严正关切。
While the waters of the South China Sea bear witness to contestation and complexity, the terrestrial ties between the U.S. and the Philippines have seen a strengthening, especially in the defense sector. At the heart of this reinforced alliance lies the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, a pivotal pact signed in 2014 that substantially broadened the scope of the U.S.-Philippines defense partnership. The EDCEA facilitates an increased U.S. military presence in the Philippines with greater rotation of U.S. military personnel and a focus on supporting humanitarian and maritime operations. Additionally, it permits the United States to deploy troops to the Philippines for extended durations and construct and operate facilities on Philippine bases, serving both American and Philippine forces. In February 2023, the United States and the Philippines revived their commitment to the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, ECDA. Despite legal and political challenges in the Philippines, the full implementation of the agreement became uncertain. However, under this pact, the United States has secured access to a total of 9 Philippine military bases, including an additional 4 identified in April 2023. The strategic proximity of most of these bases to Taiwan and the South China Sea enhances their value for potential military contingencies in the region, aligning with America's broader strategy of dispersing its forces across the Indo-Pacific area. The revitalization of this agreement signifies a renewed dedication from both the Philippines and the United States to their mutual interests and the reinforcement of deterrence efforts in Southeast Asia. The EDCA, therefore, isn't just a military pact, it symbolizes a strategic embrace. As Dr. Joseph S. Nye Jr., a renowned American political scientist, once remarked, defense agreements are not just about hardware and bases, they are profound signals in the game of international signaling. And EDCA is a clear signal of a reaffirmed commitment amidst the evolving dynamics of the Indo-Pacific. Complementing formal pacts, the tangible threads of this defense partnership are evident in the consistent U.S. military aid to the Philippines. From providing naval vessels to intelligence support and counterterrorism training, the U.S. has been an enduring partner in bolstering the Philippines' defense capabilities. Year after year, U.S. and Filipino forces come together in a series of joint exercises. These operations, beyond showcasing military might, emphasize interoperability, trust building, and shared strategic visions. Central among these exercises is balikatan, a term meaning shoulder to shoulder in Filipino. Inaugurated in the 1980s, these exercises have evolved in scope and significance. From being primarily a counterterrorism drill during its early years, balikatan has metamorphosed into a comprehensive exercise addressing a range of scenarios, from amphibious operations to humanitarian assistance.
China's military buildup is astonishing. To some, it's impressive.
And it's not showing any signs of slowing down.
It's not showing any signs of slowing down.
Our goal is and always has been to promote greater security and stability throughout the region.
Beyond the military maneuvers and defense doctrines, the U.S.-Philippines relationship thrives in the realm of economic engagements and the subtleties of soft power. Trade between the U.S. and the Philippines has historically been robust. From electronics to garments and agricultural products, the flow of goods has consistently cemented economic ties. As of 2022, the U.S. remains one of the Philippines' top trading partners, reflecting a mutual dependency that transcends geopolitical tensions. Investment, another pillar of economic engagement, sees American businesses from tech to tourism having a formidable presence in the archipelago. Conversely, the Philippines, with its burgeoning BPO industry and skilled workforce, has carved a niche in the American market. Additionally, U.S. aid to the Philippines, be it for developmental projects or disaster relief, has often played a pivotal role. Such assistance underscores not just economic cooperation, but also the spirit of partnership and shared humanity. But perhaps the most enduring and impactful ties come from the realms of culture and education. The Filipino diaspora in the U.S. acts as a living bridge, infusing American society with Filipino warmth, cuisine, art, and traditions. Education further deepens this bond. Thousands of Filipino students, scholars, and professionals have pursued their dreams in American institutions. Conversely, American educators and researchers have found a home in the Philippines, collaborating on projects and sharing knowledge. Soft power, as Joseph S. Nye Jr. put it, is the ability to get what you want through attraction rather than coercion. And in the tapestry of U.S.-Philippines relations, the threads of culture, education, and shared values weave a compelling narrative of mutual attraction and understanding.
Our goal is peace, security, stability, creating opportunity. It's not to engage in a new Cold War. It's not to contain China.
How concerned are you with the continued provocation from China?
As concerned as you could possibly be. It is one of the major issues that we have.
Like any profound and multifaceted relationship, the U.S.-Philippines alliance isn't without its challenges and concerns, influenced by both internal dynamics and external pressures. The Philippines, with its vibrant democracy and a history steeped in nationalism, often witnesses debates about its foreign alignments. For some Filipinos, there's a wary reminiscence of the country's colonial past, leading to apprehensions about too much alignment with Washington. Leaders like Rodrigo Duterte have often emphasized the need for an independent foreign policy, pushing for diversification of alliances and sometimes questioning the very essence of the Philippines' ties with the U.S. Enter China, with its pragmatic blend of assertiveness and allure. Beijing's carrot-and-stick approach in its foreign relations, especially with its smaller neighbors, is evident. On one hand, China woos the Philippines with attractive investment deals, infrastructure projects under its Belt and Road Initiative, and promises of economic cooperation. Yet on the other hand, China's assertiveness in the South China Sea, its militarization of islands, and occasional friction with Filipino fisherfolk provide a contrasting picture. This duality often places Manila in a precarious position, having to balance its immediate economic interest with long-term strategic concerns. Dr. Renato de Castro, a seasoned Philippine foreign policy expert, has proposed a strategic approach to address the Philippines' geopolitical challenges. His proposal involves a clear division of responsibilities. China would focus on providing public investments for Philippine infrastructure development and boosting the market for Philippine exports, while the United States would take on the role of offering a protective security umbrella. This strategy aims to strike a balance between economic cooperation with China and security partnerships with the United States, creating a nuanced approach to the Philippines' geopolitical dilemma. Notably, this approach shares some similarities with India's foreign policy, where it maintains economic ties with China while strengthening its security partnership with the United States.
We note that the Mutual Defense Treaty applies to armed attacks on either of our armed forces, public vessels, or aircraft anywhere in the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea.
The location of the Philippines, very strategic. My successor at Indo-Pacific, Admiral Davison, called it the most important geostrategic location in the Pacific because it sits astride the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea, depending on your perspective, and the size of the Philippines, its proximity to Taiwan, it's very, very important strategically.
As the winds of geopolitics shift and new chapters in international relations are written, the trajectory of the U.S.-Philippines-China triangle is poised at an intriguing crossroads. While predicting the future is fraught with uncertainties, the broader strokes in the U.S.-Philippines relationship can be discerned through recent trends and prevailing sentiments. The shared history, strategic interests, and democratic values between Washington and Manila will likely continue to anchor their alliance. In the face of China's rising assertiveness, the U.S. is expected to further consolidate its Indo-Pacific strategy. This means the Philippines will continue to be viewed as a pivotal partner, both in defense collaborations and as a counterbalance to Beijing's influence. Yet, the economic lure of China, with its vast market investments and the Belt and Road Initiative, will undeniably influence Manila's decisions. The Philippines, like many other nations, will strive to extract economic benefits from China while managing the potential security dilemmas this relationship might pose. Domestically, the Philippines' future stance will be heavily influenced by its political leadership.
Whatever the name of the regional cooperation framework, it should promote free trade instead of engaging in protectionism in disguise. It should contribute to the world economic recovery rather than destabilizing the industrial chain. It should promote open cooperation instead of geopolitical confrontation.
A shift towards leaders favoring a more balanced or even China-leaning policy could recalibrate the dynamics of the U.S.-Philippine alliance. Analyzing the myriad factors at play, we can envision a few potential scenarios. 1. Continued equilibrium. The Philippines maintains its tightrope strategy, balancing its relations between the U.S. and China, leveraging its position for both security and economic benefits. 2. Shift towards China. Economic imperatives and domestic political shifts push Manila closer to Beijing, leading to a reduction in U.S.-Philippines military engagements. 3. Reinforced U.S. alliance. A significant geopolitical event or a change in domestic sentiment aligns the Philippines more closely with the U.S., reaffirming defense and strategic ties, potentially at the expense of some economic opportunities with China. Professor Mira Rapphooper, an expert in Asian security, aptly summarizes the evolving landscape. In the shifting sands of the Indo-Pacific, nations like the Philippines will continually redefine their alliances, not just based on past histories, but on future aspirations and global dynamics. As our journey through the intricate web of relations in the Pacific draws to a close, the centrality of the Philippines in this grand geopolitical narrative stands undisputed. The archipelago, with its rich history, strategic location, and enduring alliance with the U.S., remains an indispensable pillar in America's Pacific strategy. From the days of the Mutual Defense Treaty to the contemporary balikatan exercises, the U.S. and the Philippines have showcased a partnership that transcends mere strategic interests, rooted deeply in shared values and mutual respect. Yet, the Philippines' position is unique and at times precarious. Sandwiched between the interests of two global superpowers, it constantly navigates the choppy waters of diplomacy, attempting to harness opportunities while averting potential conflicts. For the Filipino people, these geopolitical maneuvers aren't abstract, they're tangible, affecting their livelihoods, security, and aspirations for the future. The challenge for Manila lies not just in statecraft, but in ensuring the well-being and prosperity of its citizens. If you found this video insightful and want to see more, check out some of our previous videos and hit the subscribe button to stay connected.